All right, so I'll try to make this quick. Here is the song just played in context first.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl, blue eyes and blonde curls.
All right, so you get an idea for that. Now here is the vocal just soloed.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl, blue eyes and blonde curls.
So musically, I'm trying to do something that's very natural here. I don't want it to feel forced. I don't want it to feel like it's super produced, but I want it to sound to where it can be pitched. So first, let's take a look at what I'm doing on the way in. On the way in, I'm running the API Vision channel strip. I don't do any EQ on the way in. I don't do any cutting off of the sweep filter. I do run a high pass off of the on the preamp here. And I'm not trying to color it way too much, as you can kind of see that I'm not really touching anything here on the way in. And gain staging, as I'm speaking, I'm trying to sit at kind of minus 18. I run off of a Sphere L22 microphone. And so we'll take a look at my settings here. I'm running the Neumann U87 modern setting here. I don't do any pattern changing. I don't do any filter. I leave the axis at 0, proximity at 0, and the output at 0. So I am strictly using this just for the modeling aspect of it. So I'm not really messing with anything here. I just like how my voice sounds on this particular microphone. The next place I go is I run the Empirical Labs Distressor here. And so I'm on a 6:1 ratio. You can see what I've got illuminated here. I try to get just a little bit of color here. I like the distortion 2 setting. I like to take a little bit of the low end off here. I don't like how it sounds off of the API Vision for my voice, but it does roll off some of it here. I've got the input set at 7, attack at 2, release about 3.5, output somewhere almost near 6. And I'm not doing any sort of blend here. I'm doing it 100% where you can hear the compressor 100%. And so what I had to play with here to get my vocals dialed in, because I sometimes struggle with air control, and I'll come in real loud on the first note, and then it'll back off. So for a long time, I recorded with the attack somewhere around 2.5 and 3, but it kept allowing the first syllable to come in, and especially when I would sing the word I. And so a lot of times that transient would come through, and then I'd have to try to go back in and post and try to mess with it. And I had to figure out how to get rid of that when I was printing. And so I went to 2 on the attack, and that was quick enough to knock it off, even when I'm singing things very loudly or very quickly. I've got C-Suite enabled for a voiceover just because I'm trying to take out any heavy breathing and things like that, or any sort of room noise. But I'm in a treated room that's done very well, and there's not a lot of noise in here anyway. And so I actually don't record with the C-Suite when I'm recording vocals. And I don't run any noise. I really don't run any noise suppression anyway, just because my room's treated and I don't really need it. And I always worry about if I run some sort of noise suppressor that it's taking something away from the vocals to where it's not as natural as it could be. All right, so I leave console and I come back over here to Logic Pro, and we've heard the vocal just by itself with all the effects added. And so I want to go through and I just want to play you the vocal without any sort of plugins enabled on it. And so everything will be dry here so you can hear what the signal comes through and is printed at. So here's the print.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl, blue eyes and blonde curls, not a worry in the world.
So if you're listening on headphones, you can hear just a little bit of the music, kind of like a little bit of a headphone bleed, but nothing you'd ever be able to hear there. So that's why I don't run a noise suppression there, because I don't feel like I really need it. It comes off kind of clean anyway. So EQ-wise, the first place I go is the API Vision channel strip. And I record with the same preamp and the channel strip coming in, but I don't activate the EQ until I actually get it into mixing. And so I'm boosting at 20, I'm boosting at 300, and then kind of like the old Pultec EQ where you boost and then you cut to get a unique sound. I found that even though I boost at 300, I also come back and I cut just a hair above 200, and it works for me. I'm boosting at 20 and boosting pretty heavily there. But then I'm also cutting around 14 or so. I don't double up on the high pass and work here. I do run a compressor inside of here where it's at -8. It's about a 6-to-1, just like it was on the Distressor coming in. But I slow the release time down to where everything is a little bit more squashed and to where there's a little bit less room to breathe, but it doesn't feel like it's not dynamic at all. And then I'll play this for you with just how it sounds without this enabled, then I'll click it on halfway through.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl, blue eyes and blonde curls, not a worry in the world.
So you can see that's really trying to roll off a little bit of the low that could kind of muddy it up. So there's just more clarity here. So I'll play the first line without it on.
When she was younger.
Okay, so if I enable it.
When she was younger.
So you can hear the high boost a little bit. You can see the low cut. It just makes a little bit more clarity there. So we've got it EQ'd out.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl.
So EQ, that's all I do. It doesn't sound completely unnatural. It doesn't really sound like there's a whole lot done to it. The next place I go is to the Studer. And so what I'm trying to do here is just to get a little bit of that tape sound to it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about this plugin, but there's a vocal presence preset here that I use. And I really have to play around with this on the IPS of going from 15 to 30 because a lot of the times the 30 sounds really, really bright. And if you've got a mastering, if you got a master bus, it's really trying to push the high end. Sometimes you have to back off of that, but I'll play it without the Studer on first.
When she was younger.
And they'll add it in.
When she was younger.
So just a little bit of saturation there. Nothing super crazy. If you're listening on a phone or on even studio monitors, you may not hear a whole lot of that, but on headphones you can hear a little bit of a difference without.
When she was younger. Seemed like a happy girl.
Now with it enabled.
When she was younger. Seemed like a happy girl.
So nothing crazy, right? Just adds a little bit of saturation there. And the next place I go is with the Galaxy Tape Echo, which is this is my go-to. I start with the preset just called Crisp Slap here. And when this is not, you heard it without it enabled. And let's add the Galaxy on top of here.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl, blue eyes and blonde curls.
So you can hear that. It's very subtle, but it's just a little bit of a slap right there as I'm saying stuff. It gives a little bit more volume, not volume, just a little bit more thickness to it. And my voice is not always super thick. A lot of times I will double up on tracks during choruses if it's if it gets real big. I don't on this song, but the Galaxy Tape Echo helps here. As you can see, I've got the feedback up about halfway. The volume is very subtle on the slap here. I don't have any of the reverb engaged. Galaxy Tape Echo can get real dirty on you if you really crank up things here, and I didn't want to have that sound on this song, so it's just a nice.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl.
So just very subtle there, right? And so one thing that I like to do just to finish off my vocal chain here is I go in and I've got a reverb bus that I use, and I use the Lexicon 224 here. And I'm blending in. It's kind of like I typically like to have the same reverb on acoustics, on my voice, and I like the Lexicon because it does this stereo thing where it kind of makes it a little bit wide. But I like to be able to blend it, have the same type of reverb to create this kind of this ambient room on all the tracks that I use reverb on. But I like to use the bus feature, and I've only got the bus set at somewhere at -12.5. So it's about a third of the way up to where it could be. And so I'm blending it, and I try to use the blend of each piece that goes into the reverb here to allow me to kind of create that atmosphere. But here it is with the reverb turned on.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl, blue eyes and blonde curls.
Now with it off again.
When she was younger, seem like a happy girl.
So the way I've got it in the chain too is that the Galaxy Tape Echo, that slap, now it's going to the left and right speaker. It's creating almost like a second track. It's making this thing sound real wide and real full. Also, I don't do anything with the proximity on the Sphere microphone system, but I use the reverb here in a way that I feel like it backs off the proximity to where it feels like it gets you off the mic a little bit, but it does it in a way that's a little bit more natural and ear-pleasing to me anyway. But here it is, the whole first verse with just the effects turned on.
When she was younger, seemed like a happy girl. Blue eyes and blonde curls, not a worry in the world.
So that's my vocal chain, and at the end of the day, I feel like it works for my voice. There'll be different things you want to try for your voice, but that's my chain. That's what I do. I feel like it sounds pretty natural. I'm not doing anything too crazy where it doesn't sound like me at all. I feel like if you hear my speaking voice, and then you hear what I sing like, that there's just a couple little things on there to make it more musical. So anyway, that's my chain. I hope you guys enjoy.